All right, EE, we're going to get you guys going with the Tensegrity table. The first thing you're going to do, here's the print. I'll make sure you have that open and in front of you. And then make sure that you have a file named Tensegrity and that it's saved in your proper EE project. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by creating this triangle and then offsetting in this edge and then rounding it on the inside and then extruding it to 1/8 of an inch, 0.125. So here's how you do that. We're going to begin with a sketch. And to create a triangle, it's really easy. You just need to go under Create, and a triangle is a polygon. So go right down to Polygon, and you can pick Inscribed. Make sure your center point is at the origin. And when you drag out, it's going to default to a 6-sided polygon. We don't want that. We want a 3-side so that it's a triangle. And then just drag it out and click it somewhere, but make it look like this so that it's somewhat pointed up, so the vertex is pointed up. And then press Escape. Now the problem with this triangle is not only does it not know how big to be, it also doesn't know orientation. It doesn't know the rotation. So we're going to fix that. We're going to start by going up to our constraint menu, drop this down, and pick horizontal vertical. And then if you click on, sometimes you have to do this twice. I'm going to press Escape, horizontal vertical, and I'm going to click on this bottom edge once. And when you do that, you'll notice that it forced it to be flat. So now if I press Escape, I can't move it anymore. I can still make it larger and smaller, but I can't move it, rotate it. So now what I'm going to do is I want to size it. Now notice there's 2 dimensions. There's this dimension, 3.64 or 464, and then there's this dimension, 3. I could use either of those 2, but this one is measuring the length of the base, and this one is measuring the length of the height of the triangle. So I'm going to use the nicer number 3. Oops. It just seems easier for me to use, and I'm going to go base, 1 click. I clicked dimension, by the way. So base to height, and then I'm going to drag it to the right. And I'm going to type in 3. So there's the overall size of my table. Now to create that inside edge, so if I look at the drawing, that's this inside edge. I can see right here, right here, that this dimension is showing the thickness of it. It's 0.2 all the way around. So there's a nice tool that I can use. It's called, under Modify, it's called Offset. If I click any geometry, so like the triangle, I get this little arrow, and I can drag the arrow inside, and it's going to create duplicated geometry by this amount, whatever I type in. So in this case, negative 0.2. And press Enter. Now I have to round these inside corners because look, these are all rounded. Add strength to the triangle. The radius, that's what R stands for, is 0.1. So I'm going to go back, and I'm going to go to Modify and add a fillet. And you can see it says it places an arc at the intersection of 2 lines. So I'm going to click 1 line and then the second line. And you're going to notice that's way too big because it's defaulting to 0.7. I don't want 0.7, I want 0.1. So type it in. And as long as you keep that in there, you can just click on the next 2 and the final 2. And it'll change all of those to 0.1. Press Enter. Now that I'm done with this, I'm going to finish my sketch, tilt my world a little bit, and I'm going to extrude it to 0.125. The reason why I chose that number, 0.125, is because if I look at my print, that number is showing how thick this base plate is supposed to be. Okay. I'm going to add all the holes, these little holes that go through. I'm going to do that at the end. So now let's focus on the arm that comes up. This little arm right here. So it's going to come up at one of these corners. Okay. So let's go back and let's look at our part and let's create a sketch. Now look, when I hit 2D sketch, we already have these planes. I want you to pick the plane that goes through one of the vertices. A vertice is like one of the points of the triangle. Notice this one, I'm going to tilt my world a little bit. This one does not go through a vertice, but this one does. So I'm going to pick it. Right away, I'm looking at my triangle from the side. You can see if I do that. I'm going to go back and look at my sketch. That's what this does. You can look at your sketch if you ever mess up your zoom. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw. This is kind of upside down from what I'm doing right now, but I could actually draw it upside down and it wouldn't make much of a difference. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in on the arm. The arm should be 45 degrees and it should be 2.588 long. I'm going to go back to that print. Where is it measuring it from? It's measuring it from the end point here, which is here. So I am going to draw it down. If you go to create, you can use a tool called slot. Center to center point slot. I'm going to snap to this point right here. Okay? So I'm going to snap there. Now I can't snap to it. Notice how it's not picking up the edge of the model. So I'm going to press escape and I'm going to press P on my keyboard for project. And I'm going to click that point and say, okay, I just projected a shadow of the edge of the model onto this sketch. Now I'm going to go back to slot, center to center slot. I'm going to click that point. Now I can click it. And I'm going to just drag it down at an angle. I don't care what angle yet, but just some angle. Click again, and then I'm going to drag out. If you made a mistake on that, undo and do it again. But now I have basically a long cylinder shape kind of from the side that looks like this. The distance or the length needs to be 2.588. Let's type that in. Dimension, or press D. Click on that line and drag out. 2.588. Just like that. The angle between the face and the arm should be 45. Click on the center of the arm and the face. Oops, I didn't click dimension first. Dimension. Center of the arm and the face. And then you're going to get an angle in degrees. Type in 45. And now it's at 45 degrees. We still have a problem, though. Our slot doesn't know how big to be. Okay, so we're going to help it out. It is the same thickness as this. 0.2. Okay? So we're going to come over here and we're going to dimension the width. So click between these two edges and click in between 0.2. All right. So now we have our arm. Our arm is coming up at 45 degrees. The only thing left is to draw just a little line from here straight up until it hits. Just like that. Straight up. And then we're going to use our scissors tool. This is called trim. And I'd like you to just to click and get rid of any and all lines like you see me doing right now. And if I tilt it, you're going to see an arm sitting up just like that. So I'll go back to my sketch view. We're going to finish our sketch, and we're going to extrude it. And we're going to pick that. Only this time, when we extrude it, because remember the distance that we extrude it is 0.125, we're going to go symmetrical. 0.125, 5. Problem is, symmetrical means it's going to go in both directions. That's too much. That's too thick. So I'm going to divide by 2. So the divide button is on your keyboard, and it's the little slash button just above the arrow key. Click OK. Take a look. We're almost there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add the holes in. Each hole, I would start on the bottom. So if you flip it around, make a sketch. And you can create the holes based on the print. They are 0.2 off the edge and 0.1 up. So if we create, I'm going to use a circle. I'm going to draw a circle, type in 0.1, that's the diameter. I'm going to draw a circle, 0.1, enter, and then I'm going to dimension it. 0.2, nope, that's 0.1, I'm sorry. 0.1, 0.2. 0.2 off of the side. Oh, that's definitely the wrong number. And then 0.1 down. Then I'm going to make a circle over here. 0.1. This one is 0.2. All from the print. Once you're done, you can finish your sketch and you can extrude that, and that, and you can cut it all the way through. I'm going to twist this around so you can see, because you want it to also cut through this. See it? Now we want to put the hole in here. So we're going to create sketch, pick this side, and then we are going, you can snap to the center and type in 0.1. Finish your sketch, tilt it, cut it. Now there's some other details on here that we need to address. Looks like we've got some rounding on this inside and some rounding on this outside. That's done using the fillet tool. So we're going to, in 3D mode, we're going to click fillet, and we're going to start clicking on edges in the model. So anywhere the model meets two surfaces here and here, I'm going to pick those edges, and this is going to strengthen that connection. I am going to type 0.05, and you can see that it creates kind of like a rounded surface. Let's see if 0.10. Let's go 0.1. Now this might vary a little bit from the print, but I think as an engineer you can see that it adds material and it creates a transition between the two materials, and it helps it to blend. Especially with additive printing, when you have layer by layer by layer, it helps to grip the different layers together as it transitions from one piece to the next. So there you go. And we're going to say OK. Now I do realize that there's a little chunk kind of hanging here. I'm not going to get into how to fix that. We're just going to leave it for now. But this is the finished Tensegrity table part. And you would have a second part which is identical, but I think this gets us as far as we need to take it for this project. Great job.